pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, may we have roll call, please?
Councilmember James?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May?
Here.
Councilmember Mikulski?
Here.
Councilmember Polika?
Here.
And Mayor Piana.
Here. Next is the approval of the agenda. What is the wishes of council?
Mayor, I move to approve the agenda as published.
Support. Moved by Councilwoman James and supported by Councilwoman Mikulski. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May?
Yes.
Councilmember Mikulski?
Yes.
Councilmember Polika?
Yes.
And Mayor Piana.
Yes. Next up is just a recognition of electronic meeting procedures. We remain in person for city council and hybrid with public comments. And we'll go through those directions when the public comment period begins at call to audience. Moving on to section 5 is presentations. And first up is 5A, presentation of September Beautification Awards. And I bet Robin from the Beautification Commission is joining us via Zoom.
I believe.
Don't have Robin yet.
And I believe it's his birthday today.
Oh, boy.
Oh. Well, why don't we go on to 5B, and we will circle back to 5A if someone from the Beautification Commission comes on Zoom. And next up is 5B, is Ferndale Fire Department update presentation from our fire chief. Welcome.
Welcome. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right, so we did a little bit of a reboot. I was originally going to present the fire department's first annual report, and originally it was created as a fiscal year report, but then we decided it was going to be in the best interest to do a really good job to do a calendar year report. So what I'll be doing tonight is giving you guys like a prelude, and then shortly after the first year, you will get the fire department's first annual report, but it's going to represent 2 years and report on 2020 and 2021. So you guys will kind of get a nice, robust, full annual report. But tonight, I do want to highlight some really important things, just some items going on with the fire department. There's some things that were done by my predecessor, Chief Pichet, before he left, and he did update the mission and vision statement, and I think this really represents what our fire department is and represents now in our beliefs. And as we move forward tonight and talk about hiring, this is kind of like the core of what we're looking for. So our mission statement is the mission of the Ferndale Fire Department is to save lives and protect property through calls of service, education, and prevention. Continuously training members to provide the best possible service to the community while demonstrating safety and professionalism in any situation. We want to show leadership to our community through our service, our education, involvement, and inspiration. What we do is so much more than just responding to the 911 calls. And our involvement and our impact on our community has to be much greater than that. So our core values is we want all of our firefighters, all of our staff on our fire department to be progressive. So that's how the fire department as a whole can be progressive. We want to develop and embrace technology and advancements in the fire service, as well as adapting to the dynamic needs of the community. I'm going to present a couple of those as we go through tonight to show you that we're actually embracing that and implementing that. Integrity is another thing that I see in my men and women every day, and it is one of our core values for anybody that wants to come work for us and serve this community. We want to lead by example and be honest, fair, and ethical in all our relationships. Do the right thing even when no one's looking. We want to have pride in our service and assistance in every encounter, regardless of situation. The men and women in Ferndale Fire Department regularly step up, off the clock, behind the scenes, donate their time to community groups, help working with kids, Team Guts, and they do it on their own time, and they just ask for permission to use resources. And so they truly take a lot of pride in serving their community. And humility, we want to be open to personal change and continuous improvement and learn from mistakes and successes in equal measure. We regularly, in my time since I've been a chief, have sat down together and looked at how have we been doing it, what still makes sense, what's right, and what do we need to change, and let's move forward. And the men and women there have great open minds, and they're very humble, and they do demonstrate humility because will admit the things that they're still doing just because it's what they've always done and are really open to change. So that's what you guys are going to see from your fire department going forward. For anybody who doesn't know, I just want to give you a quick overview of what makes up your Ferndale Fire Department. So your fire administration, which is myself and my administrative assistant. Our fire prevention division is a single person, it's our fire marshal, and he's assisted by the other personnel. And then our fire operations division, we have 2 captains, 2 lieutenants, 2 sergeants, and 18 firefighters. Presently, I have 5 vacancies in firefighters, which means that's approximately 25% of my firefighter staff is vacant. As you see this is kind of how our organizational chart looks, but I want to point out the pictures on the left. The top picture is fire station number 1. At fire station number 1, that's where the fire administration is housed, myself and my administrative assistant, our fire prevention division, so the fire marshal, and then operational staff of 1 officer and 3 firefighters to staff an engine and a rescue, or as a lot of people know as ambulance. The one at the bottom is fire station number 2, and that has a staffed engine every day. So there's an officer and a firefighter there. But I want to point out the small building to the right of the station, and that's our training tower. That is a building that needs to be seen as important and as a priority, and anytime we're talking about Station 2, that needs to be seen as a part of that building. Having that serves not only our firefighters, but our community. It allows us to test and develop new firefighters to make them successful and competent in their skills. It allows us to continuously develop our on-the-job firefighters, regardless of the number of years on the job, to maintain our skills and stay proficient. And this also helps with the ISO rating for the city. So not only does it make us really good at what we do, help us keep our skills proficient, because being a firefighter, you cannot just study out of a book. You have to be able to be hands-on. This facility allows us to do that, but it also helps when we're doing ISO ratings and different things for the city. This is one of the factors that we get points for. So this is something we want to ensure we continue to invest in, maintain, and develop even further. So what has our fire department been up to lately? I pulled these stats and I was like, wow. Now the one on the right, I'm going to start with EMS on the right. It's expected each year your call volume is going to increase about 10%. You talk to any department across the country and you see that. For whatever reason, you have about 10% more EMS calls each year. So the way that's trending up on the right with the EMS calls, I expect. But I want to point out the fire incidents. Between fiscal year end 2020 and fiscal year end 2021, we had a 40% increase in fire incidents. That's significant for our community. Now, a lot of these were structure fires. Some of them could have been car fires, grass fires, but various types of fire incidents. But we did have an uptick. And this is what we're going to see. And when we see these things, we want to look at what are the causes, what are the different factors, and how can we circle back around and work with our community even more for prevention to minimize these occurrences and impacts on our citizens. But how do we, I told you we're short staffed, I'm down about 25% of my staff, so how do we meet the needs? When we have a structure fire incident, it's very labor intensive, it takes a lot of people to do what we need to do. And I'm proud of my men and women every day for how well they do their job here. We accomplish this through mutual aid. We give mutual aid and we receive mutual aid. We have agreements set up with these Oakway departments, so we automatically will come, it's already signed between all the cities to come help each other out. In the last year, we gave mutual aid 85 times to these departments. You see Southfield on there quite a bit, Madison Heights, Royal Oak, Bloomfield Township, West Bloomfield. I did not include Hazel Park. We do mutual aid with them. They are one of our auto aids, but they're not part of Oakway, and so I just pulled the stats for Oakway for this slide. In the annual report, you'll get the full thing. So we've given a lot of mutual aid away and helped other departments, but we've also received a lot. So we've had 82 incidents where people have also come to help us. So you see it's pretty equal as far as what we give and what we receive. And through these agreements is how we're able to provide the services our community deserves and expects. So I told you I was going to be talking about the technology we've implemented. There's 2 key things I want to highlight right here. The first one is we did put the MDCs in all of our fire apparatus. So in the front of our ambulances, or as we call them rescues, our fire engines, our platform, my vehicle, and the fire marshal vehicle, we now have a computer in the cab of our vehicle. What this allows us to do is see calls coming in. We can also see all the CAD notes. when we upload them, we'll be able to see pre-incident plans. We can access critical information right from the vehicle, and it's going to allow us to increase our safety and our effectiveness with our responses. During the storm responses, we saw the benefits of this to the fullest, and this is where my people truly understood what I was trying to explain to them. And when we had wires down all over the place, instead of having to have dispatch try to manage the list of calls and the addresses that were coming in, as dispatch was receiving the calls, they would just enter them in the system. From our computers, we could go to the screen for calls and see all of the active incidents, all the pending. So I could see the list of everything waiting for our attention. So for each one of my apparatus, they would go to that screen when they clear off one wires down investigation, and then choose the one that makes most sense for them to go to next instead of dispatch when they're already really busy trying to manage all that. And they would just look at that list and then call dispatch and say, assign engine 11-2 to this address, or engine 11-1. And we were able to manage all that because we now had this resource right in the cabin for apparatus. It allowed us to clear 17 lines down calls in 2 hours. We were very efficient, very effective, moved through. We knew exactly where each other was at all times. We can see on the map where each other is at all times. So it's a great thing that you're just going to see us grow and take advantage of you more as we load more programs on here, get our pre-incident plans on there, and start developing other things. And that comes with one of the advancements I'll talk a little later. The other thing is the Haas alert. This is pretty cool. This is put into all of our apparatus now, and what it does is when they turn on the emergency lights for our fire apparatus, it will alert drivers that we're coming, or alert drivers that there's an emergency in the scene ahead. This is wonderful for the safety of our personnel on scene, but also for the safety of the drivers on the road, and allows some people to maybe avoid getting into traffic jams that they want to get out of. So you want to see how effective it is. We just started implementing them and activating them at the beginning of this year. So in May, for 76 calls that went out, there's 453 drivers notified. In June, when we were getting them really activating all our apparatus, for 127 calls, 869 drivers were notified. In July, 159 calls, over 1,100 drivers were notified. Same thing in August, for 180 calls, 1,180 drivers were notified that we were en route. And this, again, if you watch the news, there's so many first responders that are struck on the roadway incidents. These are some of the most dangerous calls we go on. So anything we can do to keep our people safer, even when we position our apparatus correctly, drivers are still staring at the scene and not at us. So this helps reduce the amount of people coming through there. It also gives them an extra heads up. So if you run a Waze app, you will get these notifications. Also, different in-car navigations will give this. So they're working, more and more car manufacturers are coming online and tying this technology into their vehicles. So more and more will get it. Jeeps are testing it right now. But don't be surprised if you're running different navigations and you get an alert. We are not the only fire department in the area that has these. The equipment was purchased for us by an auto manufacturer, and then starting a year from now, we'll pay a small maintenance fee to maintain the service if we choose to. But I think we'll see the benefits and we'll want to keep this for our community and for ourselves. I want to touch real quick on Fire Prevention Division. I said this is a division of one person, and he works really hard, and he has a very, very important job for our community. Community risk reduction is a term or a program you guys will hear a lot about. If you did hear about it before, didn't know what it is. It's often called CRR for short, and it's a process to identify and prioritize local risks, followed by the integrated and strategic investment of resources to reduce their occurrence and impact. In short, it's how do we make our community safe? How do we identify what creates the biggest hazard for our community, and how do we mitigate it on the front end to either eliminate it or minimize the impact if it occurs? That's what community risk reduction is, and there's a large program on the back end on how we put this into action. But it starts with the whole assessment and analysis of your community. Fire Marshal Barr is going to be working on this purposely and formally as we move forward. He also does inspections for certificate occupancies, all these new constructions, liquor licenses. With COVID, when everybody wanted to have their tents, there was a lot of safety that had to go with that to ensure our people could be safe when we were do heaters and tents. He's involved in doing all of that as one person. We also do open burn permits, but our engines help with that, and home fire safeties, and our personnel, everybody helps with that also. He also does investigations. When a fire, something does occur, he's helping try and figure out cause and origin. This is really important. When we have a fire like we had in Royal Oak Township, we want to first of all know, where did this fire start? Where was the origin? And then when we track back to the origin, what caused it? And we can figure out causes. It helps us know how to then apply that to try to make it safer, to try to prevent this same incident from reoccurring again. And lastly, the community outreach. I know people have been teasing me a lot lately, saying that the fire department's been stepping it up, and they have. My men and women have been amazing. We've been out trying to be in the community, really stepping up the items we have to give out to our community and be very purposeful of what we spend the money on, so it has a really high value to those that are receiving it instead of just a pamphlet that will be thrown away. We now give out files of life that are very helpful for people with health issues. They can have it on their fridge and have all their information on there. So if we respond on the ambulance, instead of having to ask a lot of questions and maybe not being in a position to, we have their medical history, their allergies, their meds, doctor, all their stuff, all the contact information right there, and all we have to do is grab it off the fridge. And that's just one example of what we're trying to do. Again, that goes all the way back to that community risk reduction and providing for our community as a whole. School programs, we're going to get back into those this year. We're super excited. We went and met with the superintendent at the school and really building a great relationship with them. We're going to be involved with fire drills and a lot of different things with the school, so it's not just in elementaries, but we're looking for ways to engage all the way through the high school with hopes of even building to the point of trying to get so every child that graduates from Ferndale schools has had CPR training. So these are some of the initiatives we're working on with the schools. That is very exciting. We're also talking to the Housing Commission, and we have programs set up to start doing specialized fire safety talks to the Housing Commission buildings, because those conversations are very different than what you talk to elementary school kids about. So those are getting on the calendar, and we're moving through those. And the car seat safety, this is something we provide free to our community. We have people that attend a 40-hour certification course to get certified in this. And somebody can come to our fire station, make an appointment, and come get a child car seat installed. And it's not just for the infant ones when your baby's first coming home from the hospital. Anytime you change car seats, because they move up, you can come to the fire station, they'll check, and they'll educate you on how to properly strap it in. And we provide this free to our community. So what are we doing going forward? Well, first thing, my first priority is I got to fill my vacancies. This low staffing is dangerous. My men and women dig in. They sacrifice a ton of time away from their families, but the extra hours are tough. Being low on staff is tough. So we are actually in the midst of interviews right now, and I'm hoping to be able to fill all 5 vacancies from this application process. We have some really good candidates. We have about 10 that we're very interested in, and we're working through the rest of the interviews, and I started giving some conditional job offers, so I hope to be done with that over the next week or 2. Next thing is, if I get staffed up, is putting 2 rescues in. So if I can have an ambulance staffed at each of the fire stations, we're going to meet the needs that this community is now demanding of us. So far this year, we've had 181 times that we've passed over EMS care to another agency, because our rescue is already committed. That's 181 of our citizens that one of our partners had to provide the care for us. We want to provide that for our citizens. We want to provide them the high level of care and professionalism that they expect. And we take a lot of pride in that, being the ones there. So the last 2 years, each year was over 200 that we transfer care on. We want to put a second rescue. If we get fully staffed, if everybody's at work, any days I have 8 people working, we're going to have a second ambulance staffed at Station 2. And that's the plan going forward until I get staffed up even further. But that's something you guys can expect to see for our community. The last thing is we need to implement electronic platforms. The fire department is very behind in technology. Everything was still on paper when I got here. They do an amazing job. It's not that they're not keeping good records. They're just doing it in a very outdated way. The fire marshal, when he does inspections, is all on paper. If you want a history on a property, he has to literally go through a file cabinet and dig through to pull it out. All our inventories, everything else, and we're trying to do asset management, track, lives of equipment and when it's expiring, and how much of whatever we're going through, you got to do it longhand. So we're looking at platforms right now to try to bring that up to date. Hopefully I'll have a decision I can bring in front of council within the next 30 days to put everything we have up onto one consolidated platform, so all the data can be integrated, can work together and feed into each other, so then we can track trends, asset management, costs, everything for us, and stay ahead of all of our stuff, so none of our stuff gets expired or gets, we're asking for big asks because we couldn't properly plan for and taper that stuff out. And the last thing that will provide us is improved analytics, trackings, and efficiencies. It's going to let us be even better. We'll be able to work smarter, not harder, to do everything we're doing right now, and be able to have it at our fingertips, be able to provide it with a few clicks. And it's going to be a great benefit to our community, because we could really look for those trends, those efficiencies, effectiveness, and be very fiscally responsible with the money. So that is the plans for the fire department going forward. So quick overview, and until you guys get our annual report after the first of the year.
Thank you. Really appreciate the update, and I love hearing about the new technology and how that's benefiting the fire department, but also our residents. I think we all look forward to your annual report in January, February.
Madam Mayor, are you entertaining any questions?
Sure, please, go ahead.
Through the chair, I was just wondering, Chief, if you wanted to use this as an opportunity to give us your perspective or thoughts on the vacancies, whether you have concerns about retention or support needed, or is this more of just a circumstantial, not poorly timed, but consolidated retirements or something?
Yeah, so not having a pension here definitely is a challenge when you're trying to recruit people. It doesn't mean you just have to understand, and you have to market what Ferndale Fire Department has to offer as the whole picture. That is something that it can be tough when people are coming in, and sometimes they'll choose a department just because this one has a pension or this one doesn't. But as far as vacancies, recruiting is tough right now. Everybody's competing for people. There's a lot less people going into the profession. When I started in the profession many years ago, you would have 1,000 people competing for 10 jobs. This time, when I said that I had like 30 applicants, people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got that many applicants for 5 jobs. So that was a really good turnout. And we have people that truly want to come work for Ferndale, which is exciting. So to go to your question about retention, when I look at candidates that have applied more than once, that have been following up every week or two since they applied, going, hey, do you have all my stuff? Can I get you anything else? I really want to work there. They did their open house interview, sent us follow-up emails, going, this is why I applied for Ferndale, seeing the fire department involved in the open house. This is why I want to work there. That lets you know that, hey, these are people that truly have a heart and want to work for this community because they believe in what this fire department's doing and where this fire department's going. So when you're talking about recruiting and retention, first of all, on the recruiting side, you can't wait till you're hiring to recruit. You need to be doing it all the time, and you need to be thinking 5 years out when you're recruiting. So you need to be in the schools and middle schools and high schools, first of all, planting the seed, getting kids, our youth, thinking about this career in the first place, or else you're not going to have a funnel of applicants in the future. The other thing is you need to be talking ahead of time, building those relationships, be involved, being visible in different programs so people get to know that Ferndale Fire Department exists and what type of people work there. Be involved in letting students ride along with us for their programs. Again, it gives them the inside look, and you start building relationships so they get to see who we are and what we're about. And then the retention is about having a fire department where your people feel supported, where they feel heard, where they feel empowered, and where they feel like they have opportunities and things that they can do. Nobody wants to feel stagnant where they come on and there's nothing nowhere they can grow and do. So you have to create those opportunities for your people to be involved and places that they can grow and move into. So those are the 2 things that are really important. And I think we're on the right road for that. We're building toward that. And I think this last application process of people that are coming and just calling us and tell us how much they want to work for us is evidence of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? All right. Thank you very much, Chief. All right, folks. Assistant City Manager Kyle, do we have anybody from the Beautification Commission on tonight?
No, Mayor. I reached out to Robin, but haven't been able to reach him.
Okay. So we just completed 5B, the Fire Department update presentation, and we We are moving on from 5A, and we'll slate them for the next council meeting, which will probably include the Beautification Award. All right, so next up is call to audience. We set aside a half hour, and if there is more time needed, we added on to the end of call to council at the end of the meeting. So we are doing hybrid and in-person, and I always start with in-council chambers if there's anybody here, and then move to the Zoom blue hand raisers and phone callers. So with that, I'm going to start with the council chambers, but I can tell you there's no one here except staff. So we are going to move on quickly to the Zoom hand raisers.
Mayor, it's the same there. It's all staff and our friends from the chamber.
All right, well, our agenda must be completely exciting tonight. With that, seeing no hand raisers, people calling in, or people in the chambers, we are moving on to the consent agenda, which I will read, and then council can choose what their desire is. So 7A, approval of minutes for regular meeting held September 13th, 2021, and special meeting held jointly with the Planning Commission on September 15th, 2021. 7B, consideration of MOU between the Ferndale Public School District and the Ferndale Public Department of Support Services during special events. 7C, approval of the proclamation of National Rail Safety Week. 7D, consideration of request to replace the sustainability planner position left open due to the recent resignation of our sustainability planner with a planner 2 position. 7E, approval of tax increment revenue payment in the amount of $284,532.62 to Ferndale 9 Living in accordance with the Brownfield Plan and Reimbursement Agreement approved in 2016 for Ferndale House lots located at 431 West 9 Mile Road from the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority Fund 243, account 243-000-974.50, and to authorize the CED Director and Interim Finance Director to ensure proper payment is issued. 7F, approval of the agreement with the Carrie and Paul Group to bring Santa Claus to the city's Santa Parade for event. On an aside, he really is just coming in his own sleigh. But, we won't tell the children about this purchase. In the amount of $495 to be charged to the Contractual Services account 101-805-818.130, and authorization for the Parks and Recreation Director to sign the contract. 7G, approval of the one-year hauling contract for the 2021 organic waste pilot by My Green Michigan to provide weekly service for organic waste bins for 5 residential drop-off locations and 4 business locations. 7H, approval of the bills and payrolls submitted by the city's manager's office and subject to review by the Council Finance Committee. What is the pleasure of council?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented, and I believe that $495 is for the feed for the reindeer.
Support.
Moved by Polika and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May,
Yes.
Councilmember Mikulski,
Yes.
Councilmember Polika,
Yes.
Councilmember James,
Yes.
and Mayor Piana.
Yes. And now we move to the regular agenda, 8A. Consideration of purchasing 2 replacement dump trucks with equipment from Wolverine Freightliner Eastside Inc. in the amount of $495,885. And welcome to the stage, Director Dan Atosik from DPW.
Hi, good evening tonight, Mayor and Council. So tonight we are looking to ask for approval to replace 2 of our older dump trucks. These are trucks that we use for snow plowing and salting. So right now these older trucks, one's a 2001 Sterling and one's a 2004 International. Right now both of these trucks are pretty much solely used for salting. So you may recall, and I think it was in early 2020, we placed an order for a new style salting truck where we have a salt body insert, so we can be more versatile with that truck to where we can get year-round use out of it versus really a single season truck that we have right now. So that is the direction that we've been going in. So in conjunction with our fleet management policy and looking to achieve some goals that policy has set forward, in terms of replacement schedule, we would like to get these 2 dump trucks replaced. Both are past their scheduled replacement time frame of 10 years. While they don't have the hours, like much of our equipment, just due to our size here in the city of Ferndale. So we have been able to spec out 2 replacement trucks. You will see a different price on both of them. That is because one is a single axle truck, so it's a bit smaller, and one is a tandem axle truck, so 2 axles in the rear. We spec'd out trucks similar to what we have right now with our Freightliners. We did look into, what our main manufacturer has in terms of electric capacity for these larger vehicles. Right now, Freightliner is really focused on the over the road semi-truck in terms of electric, and their larger but small box trucks. And it seems like that's the main focus for most of the manufacturers right now versus the vocational style truck that we have. Talking with our equipment upfitters, it's about the same thing. They haven't had the opportunity to kind of spec out and build out the bodies for those style trucks, but with that is something that we're looking at. We were actually able to see some pricing on just the chassis for electric trucks going forward, and we will be starting to make some budget adjustments with CIP and our fleet management policy and replacement schedule moving forward. So these both trucks would be purchased from Wolverine Freightliner through a municipal cooperative contract that we are a part of, and then upfitted by Knapheide, who has pricing under my deal for a competitive bid contract. So we originally wanted to replace one of these trucks in fiscal year 2021, but supply chain and COVID constraints did not allow us to do that. So that's why we're bringing 2 right now instead of the 1 a year like we've been trying to do. So overall, we budgeted $520,000 for the purchase of 2 of these trucks. We split the difference down the middle 50-50 between major roads and local roads, because that's where these trucks receive the majority of their use. Overall, the number for both of those trucks provided with the truck and the equipment outfitting itself was $495,885. In terms of kind of making sure we maintain some cash flow within major and local roads for some of the upcoming infrastructure projects that we have planned, we're recommending just financing these over a 5-year period with annual payments. Comerica did provide us with an interest rate of 1.5%. So that would take the total cost of both of the vehicles at $511,000. If we choose to finance those with Comerica Bank. Overall, our crew has been happy with the style of truck that we most recently received with the salting body. We'll really be able to put it to the test this year and hopefully work out any of the kinks in the controls and stuff like that, because we won't see these trucks if we are approved to order them tonight. We won't see them until August, September of 2022. I will say that the sooner we order, the better. We have seen over the last few years, or not last few years, but last year, order deadlines are getting pushed forward. Manufacturers are cutting off orders earlier, and equipment pricing is going up substantially. So one of these trucks that we're building, the equipment on the truck is $160,000. That's for the plow, the dump body, the salt body, and everything like that. When we ordered basically the same equipment in the truck in January of 2020, it was $130,000. So it's been roughly a 16% surcharge this year in material pricing. And our equipment outfitter, they're getting all the indications that the manufacturer is going to continue to tack on surcharges just with the current state of the market right now. So it would be beneficial for us if we are able to order these sooner rather than later. And then it's something that we need to just keep evaluating with a replacement schedule and making sure that we're planning for future technologies and attempting to factor in these seemingly outrageous surcharges and material pricing that the market has right now. So at that, I will take any questions.
Open up for questions from council.
I have no questions, but I do have some comments, so I'll just wait till we make a motion.
I just have one quick question. The 2 trucks that we'll be selling, do we have an idea of roughly how much we might receive from that sale to offset the cost of this?
It's difficult to say. We did not price them out for trade-in with the dealer at this time. The last truck that we sold that would be in comparable condition to these, you could probably see between the 2 trucks, $40,000 to $50,000 between the 2 of them. That would come back once we're able to sell them, because they still have a fair amount of life left in them, but they are starting to rack up some maintenance costs that's just associated with the older equipment.
I have a comment too, but no questions. Anybody else? All right, we need to entertain a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of 2 replacement dump trucks with equipment from Wolverine Freightliner Eastside Inc. in the amount of $495,885 with financing from Comerica Bank for a total cost of $511,493.91. The expense to be split between Major Roads Fund, Capital Outlay Account Number 202-000-977, and Local Road Fund, Capital Outlay Account Number 203-000-977, as submitted by DPW Director.
Support. Moved by Polika, supported by James. Madam Clerk.
I would like to say
Oh,
some
sorry.
comments.
Yep, sorry. I had comments too. Thank you.
So I just want to thank you for continuing to look at our vehicles with much more flexibility and pursuing vehicles that we can swap out pieces of equipment for multiple uses, rather than just dedicating a truck for one type of project or task. So I appreciate that, the way that you're continuing to look at that when we buy equipment. And I did want to mention, just generally, that just to the audience, that, you know, the sign of the fact that we are getting a finance interest rate of 1.54 really shows that we have an incredible credit rating, and that's a sign of a very fiscally responsible city. So I think we should all be commended for that. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you. And then my comment is, I went to the fleet management policy, and there's like 10 trucks on here that are 8 to 9 years beyond their life expectancy per our policy, and I know that we approved 4 pickup trucks at the last meeting, and these 2 trucks will get us up to current modernization of our fleet of DPW. It's getting there.
Yes, we are getting there. The biggest thing is we stay on top of it. Stick to our policy. There is flexibility in it, and that, you know, we revisit these things from time to time. You know, we do have a goal of reducing our number of vehicles within the fleet, and going to these more versatile style vehicles sets us up to do that. You know, and just making sure that we're diligently budgeting for these replacements for years to come. So as we're working through right now, actually putting together our CIP, capital improvement plan information, you know, the fleet is a big one with that. You know, we are taking kind of a shot in the dark in terms of what should we expect for these larger vehicles in terms of what that cost may be in terms of switching over to electric. We've seen some quotes, but nothing for the exact style truck that we would need, but it does allow us to make that adjustment in years to come for within our budget. So it's not a, you know, sticker shock that this is $100,000 over budget, but we're anticipating that, you know, it's likely going to be something along those lines. So we can plan for it and anticipate it. It's just, we need to make sure, whether it's us, fire, police department, that we maintain our vehicle replacement schedule, because on the back end, we'll just rack up maintenance costs.
I just appreciate the CIP team, and Dan, I know that you've really done an amazing job getting us to this point of more versatile and saving money, so I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Mikulski?
Yes.
Councilmember Polika?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May?
Yes.
And Mayor Piana.
Yes. All right, folks. The last item on the regular agenda is 8B, consideration of resolutions impacting the bid process for the Martin Road Park splash pad.
I'm multitasking, as always. All right, Lorena, are you able to unmute?
Yes, I am.
All right, cool. Thank you, Mayor and Council, Kyle Paulette, Assistant City Manager. And tonight we are bringing to you two resolutions that are pertaining to the purchase of equipment and construction for Martin Road Park. Now, I say purchase, but we're not actually looking at buying anything tonight. In fact, what we are requesting is the ability to alter procedure and directly sync quotes for equipment and contractor for this bid. Our charter requires us to use an anonymous bid process, which is what we did last year, and as you recall, we received 3 bids, one of which was incomplete, and then the 2 remaining, due to the cost of bonding, we were unable to get a contractor who was able to think on that requirement. So the 2 motions are: 1, direct staff to purchase all of the equipment directly from Vortex, and number 2, to directly solicit quotes, bids from approved construction companies. The reason we are suggesting Vortex is because they were the preferred bid in 2020, but more importantly, their design was influenced and chosen by residents through our outreach process. Their preferred bid status was due to the amount of equipment we received and the price, whereas the only other competitor was more expensive for fewer, apparatus.
Yep.
Here is a rendering of what the design would look like. We have a good working relationship with Vortex because of the difficulty we had last year, and so we called them and asked them for a quote on the equipment for the design we put together last year, and you can see that number here versus the cost from last year. There's a 4% increase, which is what they assume year after year. And in fact, we were recently told that this price is only will only be in effect until October 31st when they roll over their pricing into their new year. It works with our schedule, so that's all right. And then, of course, any purchase would require the same process as always to come before council to make sure we have the appropriate warranties and all legal and contractual standards that we normally have. I put together a very brief pro-con, which I've already hit on a few, but the main thing that I think this helps our efforts with is by buying the equipment directly. We are taking that cost out of the bid for construction, and that is now a large chunk of the construction that does not require bonding. And that is what our issue was last year. The contractor could not cover the entire required bond, and so this will require less of a bond. It'll be materials and labor and not the added materials of equipment from Vortex. We also, by buying it direct, are able to use our tax exempt status, whereas if the contractor bought it, that price would be baked into the total contract. And Lorena is also working on looking at a purchasing consortium to potentially get another like $9,500 off the purchase price. I added some negatives or questions, however, just for your consideration. First of all, it is not our traditional bid process. We use anonymous bids to make sure that we are fair and open in our transactions. And, you know, the entire idea is that the market will provide us with the best price and quality. Unfortunately, we have learned that the splash pad industry is quite niche, and there really is not a lot of competition. Like I mentioned in the pro, splitting the cost is better for the contractor bid. There's some cost savings. On the negative side, it does turn one large purchase into two that would need to be approved by council. Not that that is a major negative factor, but it is one more discussion and one more set of numbers to run through. And then a risk that we also run, which I have put as low risk, is there is a reality where we buy equipment and then can't find someone to install it. I put that there because that's a fact, but as you'll see when I get to the next resolution, we have a list of qualified contractors that we intend to directly engage with. So, that risk is always there, but I don't think it's as likely as putting a bid out and we just get the same two that we had last year. The second resolution, direct solicitation of contractors, is somewhat similar, a little bit different because it does involve the legwork and trying to ensure a competitive process, even though we're not sending the bid out to the mid-net and wider community. The equipment that we would purchase has to be installed by a Vortex certified installer in order for us to use their warranty. So we want to make sure that they have that training, and we have procured a list from Vortex of contractors who meet that qualification and who have installed systems in other cities. A benefit of going direct is skipping through any chaff that may apply that does not meet the qualification. It may have a low price, but doesn't have the quality that you would expect in a bid that we brought before you. As I said, with the idea of going directly to contractors, I honestly believe we may end up with more bids than we had last year when we did an anonymous bid. We only have to get more than 2, so it's not a very high bar, but it would give us a better feel to pick a preferred candidate and then work with them ahead of and during the bid process to meet our qualifications and any design or construction questions that may come up. This would save us time because as opposed to waiting all the way through October, getting the bids, and then negotiating, we are doing everything at once directly with the contractors to get that end result at the end of October. And then the negatives. A lot of unknowns with any bid process. We know there is not a lot of competition, and that is bad, no matter which way we go. So I put risks on no. Are prices better anonymously? Maybe, but it's going to be known to the contractors that we are doing a direct bid process, and so that competitiveness should still be there. And then the unknown of, is there someone out there that we don't know of who would be a strong contractor? That is unanswerable, but considering we need a Vortex certified contractor and they are giving us a list of folks to reach out on, I doubt it because they would know who's qualified to install. And then at the bottom there, the cost difference between the two options, unknowable. There's no way to know, but we feel that the direct bid provides the city with more control and the ability to sort of determine our own destiny on this project per se. And then to end, the next steps are to secure that quote from Vortex. It is still valid, so it would just be formalizing that and taking it through the legal process in order to prevent that price increase. We would want to bring that to you on October 25th, and then we would have the equipment purchased held by Vortex at no additional cost or need of insurance for the city. And then we would solicit bids throughout October and bring the preferred bid for contractor by the end of November, just so we can wrap this up before the end of the year. If it had to go later, it's, there's no hard deadline. And then weather permitting, we would begin construction in April or May, and would like to see an opening no later than July 4th. If we can open the ground in April, we could expect to have it open by Memorial Day or mid-May. And that's everything. We're happy to write down any questions or discuss the two resolutions.
All right, thank you, Kyle, for that presentation and extensive explanation of the challenges getting this project to the finish line. Are there more or additional questions from council about the uniqueness in this approach on the bid process?
Through the chair, I have a question that may be more properly aimed at our city attorney, although Kyle, you're not precluded from jumping in if you know the answer. I'm looking at the city charter, and the way that I am reading the chapter on contracts, maybe this is more of an opinion than a question, but I do want your thoughts. It's the way that I'm reading it. It seems as though we have advertised the bid for sealed proposals, and it's not clear to me that this provision prohibits us from also seeking, reaching out for bids.
Through the chair, I would agree with that.
Okay.
I think part of what Kyle is suggesting is to get better responsiveness from the universe of anticipated bidders, to go to that extra step to contact them, those that are known as qualified and responsible bidders.
Okay, then I think we're in alignment. Thank you.
Are there other questions from council? I feel like this is the never-ending project. And there's like gateways and hurdles that have been put up in front of you and Lorena along the way. So I really appreciate the very thoughtful and thoroughness in which you have laid out the options as well as the pros and cons here as we navigate our process and our charter. With that, I think if nobody has questions, we need a motion to entertain.
Should this be one motion or two separate motions?
Through the chair, that's the discretion of council. I believe the agenda item's been broken into two, but you could combine.
Okay. In that case, I will move to approve both of the attached resolutions. The first, to direct the city administration to negotiate a contract for the purchase of a Vortex splash pad system based on the specifications and plans previously prepared for Martin Road Park, and direct the city administration to directly contact and seek qualified bids from qualified bidders, trained and certified in the construction and installation of the type of splash pad amenity sought for Martin Road Park in order to obtain responsive and competitive bids for the installation of public improvements, including the installation of splash pad amenity at Martin Road Park.
Support.
Moved by James, supported by Polika. Are there any other additional comments?
I guess I just have a comment, maybe slash question. Is it common to have a bidder and then the bidder not have someone to install their product? I was just curious as to why we have to go out and find people to install it when we found a bidder.
Yeah, so we asked Vortex the same thing and said, hey, you know, we want your product, why don't you come on and put it in? But they're not licensed to install, and they cannot pull the permits or really jump through any of the hoops a contractor is able to.
Interesting. Good question.
And if I may, this is also similar practice when you look at the outdoor fitness equipment at Geary Park, where you buy it from one company and then we had to actually hire an installer, which was our GC, or when you have play equipment at our parks, for instance, the new play equipment at Wanda Park, we purchased it from Game Time, and then we did use an installer recommended by them, but separate than their company who knows how to install play equipment. So it's a common, it happens.
And then I have an unrelated question, but related, because I don't remember, that the splash pad also comes with a concession area and some changing rooms. Was that changed out or removed from the, I can't remember.
It's part of the project's concept plan, but it is budget contingency.
Budget contingency.
The FCA, the Facilities Condition Assessment, is also evaluating the health of the all existing park restrooms and park buildings to determine what the feasibility is of adapting what we already have.
Okay, so that's going to come soon. So it's feasible that we will continue adding on to this project with new facilities in the future.
It is feasible.
Or amended facilities.
Correct.
Okay, that's expected.
Yes, Mayor. And in fact, my focus has been getting the pad in the ground, but we do know there's a large want for a pavilion and additional seating that will be looked at along with this. But my first priority is get this pad built.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, got it. All right.
And if I may, one more time, sorry.
No, go ahead, Lorena.
We, just a reminder, we did apply for an MDNR grant where we're hoping to get the results in December or January for Martin Road Park, which would include the installation of a pavilion that will go by the splash pad.
I remember we adopted a resolution for that. Thank you for that reminder as well. All right, Madam Clerk, we have a motion on the floor.
Councilmember Polika?
Yes.
Councilmember James?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May?
Yes.
Councilmember Mikulski?
Yes.
And Mayor Piana?
Yes. All right, folks, that's it for our regular agenda. We're going to move on to call to council. I'm going to hand it over to our city manager, Joe, and they will walk us through our department updates for tonight.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll just keep Lorena on the hook here. Lorena, can you kick us off with some updates from Parks and Recreation?
Yes, I have two updates. One, just a reminder that our annual Ferndale Fall Festival will be held on October 9th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. with the trick-or-treat trail starting at 3 o'clock p.m. We are still looking for volunteers. The successfulness of this event is heavily dependent on volunteers. So if anyone is interested in volunteering, they can contact the Parks and Recreation Department in any means that you know, whether it's through the website, our Parks and Recreation Facebook page. You can email me directly, or our volunteer coordinator with our department, Christian Johnson, at cjohnson@ferndalemi.gov. Also, we are still taking any businesses or sponsors or vendors that are interested in being part of Fall Fest. You can also contact us the same way. And lastly, for our Fall Festival, we are really encouraging pre-registration through our online software. So you can access that through our website just to keep it a little more COVID safe and keep things moving at the registration table. So if you plan on attending, we encourage you to register in advance through our website. Lastly, this is the last week to register for the virtual 5K. And when you register, please be sure to select Ferndale. All the proceeds or half of the money raised for this virtual 5K through MParks will go towards Ferndale Parks and Recreation Department. And we also have our wonderful city manager who will be matching any city staff by $10 who also register for the 5K. This 5K can be done anywhere that you want, whether it's outside, around your neighborhood, on your treadmill. You can bike it, walk it, run it, skip it, hop it, hula hoop it, however you feel necessary. Have fun with it. Invite whoever you want to invite. And please register and utilize Ferndale. You can find the registration website on our Facebook page, Ferndale Parks and Recreation Department Facebook page. If you have any questions, you can always contact us as well. Thank you.
Everybody, I completed my 5K on Saturday. I did 4 miles, and I donated 35. So I encourage you to participate.
Thank you, Lorena. Thank you, Mayor, for charging me additional $10. 29 more to go. All right, next we have our HR Director, Dan Jacey, to give us an update.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It is my pleasure to announce that the city's Racial Equity Action Team, along with the City Manager's Office and leaders from the Ferndale City Council, will be hosting a community conversation about race and equity on Tuesday, October 12th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. This event will be held in the city's council chambers where you are right now, and we will also be doing it virtually in a similar manner to the city council. So we will accept public comment from people that call in. This is going to be facilitated by a gentleman named Harry Weaver, who is a subject matter expert in this field. And anybody that's interested should go to the city's website to learn more about the event. If you want to have a conversation about it, you can go to the city's Facebook page. And I hope to see a lot of our residents and interested parties there.
Thank you, Dan. Next is Dan Antosik, coming from the House. Dan, give us an update on seasonal changes at DPW.
So, when it comes to DPW, we are getting to that time of the year, towards the end of October, and we will be doing curbside leaf removal yet again, and preparing ourselves for winter. So, most residents should be receiving their quarterly newsletter for the fall, sometime pretty soon here. You will see a little bit of an adjustment in terms of our leaf pickup schedule. We will still be maintaining the east side 1 week, west side another, but we will be breaking down the east side and the west side into quadrants. So, for example, if you live on the west side of Woodward, north of 9 Mile, towards the service drive, we'll be picking up your leaves between Monday and Tuesday. And then, throughout the week, because we would like to try and get some more cars off the street, allows us to do a more thorough job, and then cleaner street when it's all said and done. Just to try and be more efficient and effective with what it is that we're doing. Additionally, as October wraps up, we'll be finishing up our construction projects in terms of roads and water main. Water main's just about tied up. We just need to do some road repairs. And then I know everyone has had the opportunity to see the orange barrels up and down Bermuda. Construction has actually started on that north section over there. along the service drive, and we should be all wrapped up by the end of October and kind of put construction behind us for a few months. So other than that, you know, please don't put your leaves out until your week has started, and everyone does have the ability to put them in yard waste bags. And if you are inclined to and you would like to mulch them, it is great for your yard up to a certain point. So other than that, nice seeing everyone tonight, Council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. We'll stay in-house and kick it over to the city clerk.
Well, it's also that time of year for the clerk's office. So we have received our absentee ballots for the November election, and our staff is prepping them right now to get out in the mail. We're expecting them to be out by the weekend. And I also just wanted to thank Deputy Clerk Kira Khan for sitting in for me at the last council meeting while I was on vacation. I appreciated that team effort.
Thank you. And tonight we have Captain Spellman speaking for the police department. Captain, do you have an update to share?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The police department just wanted to remind everyone, with school back in full swing, to please slow down and be extra cautious in intersections, school drop-off points, and the bus stops around the local area where students will be crossing the roadways. There's also some exciting news on the electric car front. The Ford Mustang Mach-E is now the first electric police vehicle to pass the Michigan State Police test. This has to do with acceleration and braking. So there is good news on the forefront. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Next, our CED Director, Jordan Twardy.
Thank you, Joe. Mayor, Council, good evening, members of the public. Just a quick update on the planned Ferndale effort, the update of our three major plans in our community, the master plan, the parks plan, and our climate action plan. If you go to planferndale.com, we've put a new update up there, so there's some additional information available. Our big events that are upcoming are the October 26th and 27th Community Summit, which we'll be sharing details for soon. We just had a great meeting between the joint meeting between City Council and the Planning Commission on September 15th. A lot of great feedback from participants there, as well as members of the public who joined us. But the big takeaway today is there are three ways to get involved while you wait for the Community Summit later in October. You can sign up for virtual small group discussions. We'll be populating those as they're scheduled. You can join us for one of those. If you're not feeling the big crowd at our big meeting, you can join for a more intimate setting. You can also request to have a facilitator visit your group, and so you can start putting those requests in as well. And you can sign up for email updates just to be generally kept in the loop on the progress for those plans. So we're going to be putting more details as we go, but right now I would just tell folks to please remember to go to planferndale.com, get the information, sign up, and be heard. We really want folks' input on this. You do have the power to make change, and your voice does matter in this project. Every proposal that has ever been approved or rejected has had the input of the public all over it. So we really want to hear from you on this plan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jordan. And you know, with all of these seasonal updates, I think it's important to have our communications department also plug signups for our mayoral e-newsletter. It's distributed monthly as October is right around the corner. With that, Lindsay, are you available to speak? Kyle, I don't know if you... Yep, okay.
Hi, good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, we do have our e-newsletter that goes out. It'll go out at the end of this week. If you go to the city's website and you search Mayor's e-newsletter, you'll find a news article about it, and you can sign up there, and it goes out typically the last week of the month.
Beautiful. October is looking for a long thread for those looking to read. And then finally, I will just give a more procedural update as well. Just a reminder that October internally is audit month for us. So you could expect to see our auditors from Manor Coast Region in the House the 2 weeks between October 11th and October 25th. They will be here performing their annual audit. And then typically we would present the financial statements as organized by them during the last City Council session of the year in December. That's just a general timeline update. And while it's on my mind, I also want to personally credit the good work that our finance department has done through significant change over the past several months. So thank you, Tim. Thank you, Tia. Thank you, Jessica. Kathy, I'm going to include you in here. Thank you, Michelle, for your leadership, and thank you, Rich. I appreciate your ongoing commitment and diligence. We're almost through the process. Thank you. And that will rest.
Excellent, thank you. All right, tonight we're moving on to call to council with council members, and I'm going to start with Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May.
May, did you start with me last time?
I don't remember. I go light, rough,
Okay, all
back
right.
and forth.
Well, I guess I just want to share that I thought for us to have our first Michigan Municipal League Conference in person, that it was a great conference. The topic of choice, it seemed like it was more around housing and affordable housing in the communities and use of ARP funds. So I expect that those will be robust conversations that we have in our community, particularly the ARP funds, and I just, hope that everyone gets an opportunity to weigh in and how we can use those funds, that gift, to better utilize services, et cetera, in our community. And it was great to be able to connect with my council members more on a different level at a conference as well. So that's really it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you. Laura, sorry, Councilwoman Mikulski, I'm sorry.
Just a quick update. I had a great conversation with Councilwoman Alyssa Sullivan in Hazel Park about the RAP program that I did not know about. So that's the Water Residential Assistance Program. We do participate in it. I would like for any resident who has interest in potentially receiving assistance with their water bills to take a look at our website, ferndalemI.gov. You need to search for the word RAP or just Water Residential Assistance Program. It's a great program. It basically helps low-income homeowners afford their water bills. So again, just look for the word RAP on our website, and there's a link directly to the website for RAP on our website. And that's all I have.
Excellent. We'll go back over this side. Councilman Polka.
Well, I just want to agree with, I have a couple things, but I want to agree with Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May, and that the conference, the MML conference, was really great. It was great to interact with a number of people again and just kind of get that municipal mind going with conversations about, what's happening great in your community and what are you struggling with, and sharing all those. And across the state, we are more alike than we are different in the things that we're trying to accomplish and the things that we are struggling with. So it's always great to get that reassurance and confirmation and just have that great camaraderie with like-minded individuals and people that sometimes can help you. You build relationships, not just friendships, but working relationships as well. So that was a really great conference. Took a lot of energy out of me. I really had to relax this past weekend to get my energy back. But with that, we're going to lose a lot of energy this weekend because this is the return of Ferndale Pride. Finally, this Saturday, it is coming back. Opening ceremonies are at 12:30 at the Live Cannabis main stage. Vendors will open at 1 p.m. There's going to be wedding ceremonies from 1:30 to 2:30 at the Thoughts and Prayer Green Buddha DJ Dance Stage. And then the DJ dancing will start at 2:30. The live, the main stage live entertainment will start at 1 p.m. Along with the Genesis Credit Union Rock Wall will be available, and Blue Care Network of Michigan is sponsoring the Children's Activity Area from 1 to 6 p.m. There will be a recovery zone for people who are dealing with alcohol or drug addiction, you can go to this area and meet with like-minded individuals. We're going to be having an adoption area, animal adoption area hosted by Vibe Credit Union from 1 to 8 p.m. So a lot going on. We encourage you to support the bars and restaurants and businesses in the downtown. It's one of the reasons why we don't have like a beer garden, or we don't sell beer at the event, is to encourage people to support our local businesses. And it really is an event for everyone. It's not just the LGBT community. It really is. Ferndale Pride is the pride of Ferndale, I like to say. So come on down. It's going to be a great time, and look forward to seeing everybody there. That's all I have, Mayor.
Councilwoman James.
Sure. Very quickly, just to reiterate what two of my colleagues have talked about so far, attending the Michigan Municipal League conference last week, frankly was a little bit anxiety-inducing in the lead-up, because that's the most I've been around other people since I arrived back from Italy in February 2020. So that was a little scary. Thinking about it ahead of time, but I decided to go ahead and do it this year, because virtual last year just really wasn't the same. I felt really reinvigorated after attending the conference. It was really wonderful to connect with elected officials from other cities across, well, other municipalities, I should say, because all different forms of government across the state. You know, to identify commonalities, exchange ideas, and really learn about some of the innovations that others are doing. And I can't wait to have continued conversations with my colleagues about some of the things that I learned, as well as the city manager's office, and hopefully be able to take that information and put it into practice here in Ferndale. Immediately after that, we got to participate in the Ferndale Schools Homecoming Parade, which was also incredibly exciting, because that is the first parade that I've been able to participate in since taking office. And frankly, we all do it for the Memorial Day Parade, right? I don't think there's really any other reason to serve as an elected official. That's a joke. So since we haven't been able to do the Memorial Day Parade for 2 years, it was really fun to be able to participate in the Homecoming Parade, and thank you very, very much to Ferndale Schools for inviting us. So that's what has happened in the last week, but what's coming up that I'd like to share with you is on Wednesday I'll be hosting a discussion that really provides some background and context for both the strategic plan as well as the master land use plan that we've been talking a lot about, because it's under revision, and I'm wrapping in the climate action plan and the parks and rec plan into that as well. I tend to just focus on the MLUP, but they all go hand in hand. So the session on Wednesday is going to be hosted via Zoom. I have posted it on Facebook, and if you are incredibly intelligent and do not partake in Facebook, please shoot me an email at kjames@ferndalemi.gov, and I'll make sure to send you the link. Frankly, it's just the same link that we use for our city council meetings, so it's a really easy way to find it. 7 o'clock on Wednesday. This is not exactly part of the master land use plan revision public engagement process, but it's meant to be a supplement to that process. So if the MLUP is a new concept for you, or you've heard it enough but just don't really know what it is, where it comes from, what it's used for, this is to bring you up to speed so that when those revision public engagement opportunities come up in the very near future, you'll already have that background information about what it is that we're talking about and why it's important. So please join us Wednesday, 7 o'clock via Zoom.
Thank you.
All right. I also went to the MML conference. I'm past president, and I get free registration, and I get invited to all of the board meetings. So I'm like the ghost of the president's past. And so what I really liked about MML conference was the uplifting and inspirational and optimistic message that MML was taking after 2 years of major disruption. I think elected officials have expressed the last 2 years how tiring it has been and exhausting work it has been. They all support doing it and love doing it, but what has been asked of public officials elected in the last 2 years has really been extraordinary. But with extraordinary change also comes with extraordinary opportunities, and that's what I really liked about the MML conference, talking about transformational change and belonging and how to get your community to adapt to the housing challenges, the climate challenges. Particularly, a lot of the communities who are there are from coastal areas in Michigan, and they're definitely seeing the impacts of rising lake levels and erosion. And so, which we don't have those issues in Ferndale, but they got to hear our issues about flooding. So it's really important that we go, all elected officials go at some point, and I know that we've all gone here online, Zoom, at one time or another. And I appreciate hanging out with the council members. But I also wanted to give a shout out to Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May. She was appointed the president of the Elected Officials Academy by her peers on that board, and so she will be leading the efforts on training for elected officials over the next year. So congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem Leaks May.
Thank you.
That's a big deal. So, all right, and then my next update is, let me log in again, is something that I got via the mail from the Michigan Realtors and GMRA Assistance Oakland, and it is the Greater Metropolitan Association of Realtors, GMAR, with the North Oakland County Board of Realtors, and they are providing relief assistance for qualified applicants of Oakland and Macomb County in response to the heavy rainfalls, winds, and tornadoes that resulted in widespread property damage on July 24th through 25th. So they're offering $1,000 of assistance. They have $100,000 available out of their Realtors Relief Foundation Fund, and they up to $1,000 per household until the available funds are fully allocated. And the deadline to apply is October 8th, 2021. So I know that we had some homes here in Ferndale that were impacted by this, so I would encourage anybody that you know to apply to see if they can at least offset some of the water damage and cleanup costs that they may have incurred as part of the July 24th, 25th. Now that is a very specific date. It does not include all the other 100 rain events that we've had this summer, so very specific. But you can go to gmaronline.com and direct people to this thing. And I will post it on my mayor Facebook page as well so people can have the applications. And with that, that is all I have tonight. And I'm calling it, wow, 8:29, folks. Thanks for being here tonight. We'll see you next time.
Recording stopped.